Area of circles. Hopefully you have this worksheet out so you can just take the notes right on the worksheet. First, you can use a calculator. So if you don't have one, pause it, get a calculator. If I go too fast, just pause it, rewind, do what you need to do. All right, so circumference and area of circles, one of the major things we need to use for this is pi. Pi is a Greek letter. It's spelled P-I. And the approximation that we're going to use for pi is 3.14. So that means that pi is about 3.14. All right, diameter. We've got the definition. Diameter is any straight line segment that passes through the center of the circle and whose endpoints lie in the circle. So we're going to draw a picture of diameter. There's my circle. Here's my center, and the diameter goes through it. Kind of looks like a Pokeball that way. All right, then we have some formulas for diameter. If we have the radius of a circle and we multiply it by 2, that gives us the diameter. Also, if we take the circumference of a circle and we divide it by pi, that will give us the diameter of any circle. All right, next we have radius. Radius is a straight line from the center of the circumference, or from the center to the circumference in a circle. We'll draw a quick picture. Here's the center of my circle, and the radius goes from the center to any point on the edge or the circumference, and we mark this as R for radius. Kind of a formula for radius. If we're given the diameter of a circle and we divide that diameter by 2, then we get the radius. All right, circumference. Circumference is the distance around a circle. So I'm going to draw a smaller circle here, and my circumference, C for circumference, is the distance around it. Okay. Formula for circumference, there are 2. Circumference equals pi times diameter, and we don't use a time sign because a symbol and a variable next to each other, it means to multiply. The other formula is that circumference equals 2 times pi times radius. And we get this because 2 radius equal 1 diameter. All right, next we have area. Area is the square units that cover the surface of a circle. Here's my circle. A is for area, and area covers the whole circle. There is one formula for area, and area equals pi times the radius squared, or the radius to the second power. Radius squared is the radius times the radius. All right, then we have the ratio of pi. Pi is the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its diameter. So pi equals circumference divided by diameter. All right, next we're going to do some examples of each. Again, if I'm going fast, please just pause your video. All right, so we are going to use the approximation of pi being 3.14 here. Again, that's not exact, but that's what we're going to use. And then for number 1, we're going to find problems 1 and 2. We're going to find the circumference of the circles. First, we have the radius for number 1. So I'm going to go ahead and label that R. The radius equals 12 miles. And I'm going to write my formula. Circumference equals 2 times pi times R. I chose that formula because it has the radius in the formula. And then all I do is plug in my numbers. 2 times 3.14 for pi times the given radius, which is 12 miles. And then I plug it in my handy calculator. and circumference equals 75 and 3600 miles. Do not forget your unit of measurement. All right, in our second one, we're given the diameter. So the diameter equals 20 meters. So looking back at my formula sheet, I can see circumference, if I'm given the diameter, circumference equals pi times diameter. So C equals pi d, and then I'm going to plug in my numbers. So instead of pi, I use 3.14, the approximation, times the diameter 20. I plug those numbers into my calculator, and I get that the circumference of this circle is 62 and 8/10 meters. All right, next we have area. We're going to find the area of each circle. Area is always squared. So that means at the end, when you write your answer and you write your unit of measurement, if it's inches, it would be inches squared. If it was meters, it would be meters squared. Feet squared. The unit is always squared at the end. All right, so for number 3, we're given all the way across, so we're given the diameter. The area formula, and again, we can just look at our notes. Area equals pi r squared. So area equals pi times the radius squared. But we're given the diameter. We have to use the radius here. So we're going to take our diameter and we're going to divide it by 2, and that's going to give us the radius. So 13.8 divided by 2 equals 6.9. So our radius equals 6.9 miles. So we're going to plug that back into our formula. Pi equals 3.14 times our radius, which is 6.9, and we square the radius for area. I put it in parentheses because if I don't, then the 2 is only on the 9, but I actually have to find 6.9 to the second power. So sometimes it's easier in our calculator just to do 3.14 times 6.9 times 6.9. Remember that radius squared is just the radius times itself, radius times radius. All right, when we plug that in our calculator, we get 149.4954 miles. And since it's area, and area is always squared, it's going to be miles squared to the second power. All right, looking at number 2, still finding the area from the directions. Same formula for area. Area equals pi times the radius squared. Pi is 3.14, so we're going to plug it in. 3.14 times, and in our circle here, we are given the radius. So it's going to be 8.6 to the second power, or squared. You can do 3.14 times 8.6 times 8 6/10. Enter that in your calculator. And we get 232.2344 inches, and it's area, so it's inches squared. Okay, area formula, area equals pi r squared. Circumference formula, C equals 2 times pi times r, or C equals pi times d. For our last problem, this time we're looking to find the diameter and the radius when we're given the circumference. So if we go back to our notes from the first page, right here for diameter, we can see that diameter equals the circumference of the circle divided by pi. So that's the formula we're going to use. So diameter equals circumference divided by pi. So diameter equals, and our circumference is right here, 15.7 inches. So I'm going to take 15.7 inches and I'm going to divide it by 3.14. I can plug that in my calculator. When I do, I get that my diameter is 5 inches. Now, the question also asks us to find the radius. If you remember back on the first page, to find the radius, you can do diameter divided by 2, and that will give you your radius. So if our diameter is 5, 5 divided by 2 will give us our radius. So 2.5 inches, don't forget your unit of measure, is the radius. So we found the diameter and the radius. All right, so hopefully that helps. If it went fast, just pause and rewind as you need to fill in the notes and work at your own pace. Thank you.